Let's talk about self-defeating pseudo agility, what it is, and how you can shift from it to evidence-based agility. Some ideas I want to share with you today. We'll talk about my views on what is self-defeating pseudo agility. We'll talk about 4 attributes that I feel are necessary to defeat it, some questions that I would recommend you consider, some barriers that might get in your way, and some suggestions to break through those barriers. Let's talk about my views on self-defeating pseudo agility. Usually when prospects come to us asking for help in the area of agile enablement, the situation is grim. There's a lot of finger pointing going on. People are frustrated. Usually the person who reaches out to us has had it, has tried everything that they could think of, and now they're ready for a change. And usually all the finger pointing is because of at least one or more of these reasons. They're trying to deliver something that they consider to be minimal viable product to the market, but the market responds by saying, well, this is minimal, but it's not viable. It doesn't help us. Or quality is so bad, they spend a lot of time and money doing damage control after a release. There is a huge avalanche of customer escalations, customer attrition, and their roadmap gets impacted because they have to clean up the mess they created with the previous release. And when they do deliver the release, there is so much rework, either because of bad quality or because the features that they delivered were not what the customer wanted, that a lot of their profit margin is eaten up by having to redo things because they just missed the customer needs by such a wide margin. And all of these issues could combine to give them a very slow time to market. So by the time they actually deliver something to the market has moved on, customer needs have shifted, and then they start the same unhelpful, unhealthy cycle all over again, right? And then in regulated environments, often one challenge companies face is to strike a healthy balance between risk and reward. We have to take calculated risks, but there is an imbalance in the company if you are too risk averse, or if you take too many risks. So the companies are trying to find a way to strike a healthy balance between just the right amount of risk and the appropriate amount of reward. All right. So usually this is where someone reads a Harvard Business Review paper or reads a book which tells them how to get more work from less people in less time, or who knows what. And then the epiphany is, let's try agile. And so the hope is there will be an agile transformation. We'll call someone, they'll do some training, and then magically we will be transformed into an agile company. Very often, this is what happens. We do some agile training, and either nobody shows up, none of the key stakeholders show up to the agile events, or maybe even the agile training. Or when they do show up, let's say to a sprint review, because they have not unlearned their old unhelpful habits, they have not learned how to be agile, not do agile, they haven't learned how to be agile. A lot of agile events which are intended to enable constructive interactions between smart individuals, they degenerate into a food fight. So the result is not the agile transformation we were hoping for. It's something worse than what was before. And we go right back to where we began. Lots of blaming, finger pointing, disillusionment. This is what I call a self-defeating pseudo agility. Why does this happen? Why does it keep happening? What the heck just happened? These are the questions many companies start pondering after they have spent a lot of time and money chasing this myth of agile transformation. Here's my take on why this happens. It reminds me of the story of the 6 blind men and the elephant. So the 6 blind men come across an elephant and they all start feeling different parts of the elephant. One person feels the trunk and says it's a snake. Another feels the tusks, says it's a spear. Another feels the legs and says it's a tree trunk. One feels the tail and says it's a rope. Another maybe feels the body and says it's a wall. And one feels the ear and says it's a fan. And then they start arguing with each other. The truth is, each of them has a slice of the truth. And when you integrate their wisdom, you get the entirety of the truth. None of us is smarter than all of us. If we integrate bottom-up intelligence, crowdsource the wisdom, we have a greater chance of understanding what the heck is going on and what adjustments are needed. This is kind of what happens when we go into an organization that asks for our help. Like the 6 blind men and the elephant, executives are looking at the business problem from different perspectives. And they are defining the business problem to be different things. The chairman of the board might say, we need to increase EBITDA. Agility will help us increase EBITDA, which is a fancy name for profit, because then stock price goes up, investors are happy. CEO says, I need agility to increase wallet share. Customers are spending $1,000 in this segment. We are only getting $200 of the $1,000 spend. I want to get $800. I want to bump up the wallet share. The chief marketing officer might say, just deliver on the damn roadmap. I keep promising to the sales force, to the street, maybe to the customers, analysts, what features we are going to deliver, what our releases are going to look like. And I'm so sick and tired of looking like an idiot because you guys never deliver what you said you would by when you said you would. Agility is going to fix you. The financial officer says, look, I want to maximize lifetime contract value. Customer officer says, I'm sick and tired of escalations. Agility is going to help me minimize support issues. And the CTO is so sick and tired of being beaten up in the staff meeting. He says, for God's sake, I just want something that will reduce the number of times I get escalated and made to look like a fool in the staff meeting. This is not agility. This is self-defeating pseudo agility. How do I define agility? Agility is about creating an atmosphere, a culture, an environment where self-organizing and cross-functional teams apply agile principles and values and deliver valuable solutions in a changing market. That's true agility. And it has to be based on evidence, market conditions, lead and lag indicators. So what kind of attributes must an organization embrace or have if they are to break out of this unhealthy pattern of self-defeating pseudo agility to true evidence-based agility? In my experience, based on the clients that we have helped make this transition, the first is you have to be customer-centric. The customer has a need. And if that is your true north, let's do the best we can to take care of our customer for as long as we can. That can cut through the clutter, cut through the ego, because if the customer isn't happy, none of us is happy. And that's why we exist. So the first attribute is having a customer-centric mindset. The second is outcome-based mindset. Who cares how awesome you are in the activities? Who cares how awesome you are in practice? If when you go out on the field, you get creamed and you're not helping your customer, what's the point? So we need to have a mindset that success is defined by the extent to which we deliver the outcomes for our customer, our reason for existence. You have to be data-driven. You can't have gut-based pseudo agility. You have to have evidence-based agility, evidence of lead and lag indicators based on market reaction to your offerings. And you have to be curious. You need to have a growth mindset. You don't know everything. None of us knows everything. So if you're humble and curious, there's a greater chance that when things are not going the way we want them to go, we will be open to new ideas, new ways of being, new ways of thinking and doing. Assuming you have these 4 qualities, what are some questions that we recommend, we invite you to consider. First, figure out where are you right now in your journey. What is it costing you? Newton's laws of inertia says an object at rest or in motion continues in its state of rest or motion until and unless impelled upon by a stronger force. You need a stronger force. Your biggest threat is not your competition, it's inertia. So what is it costing you to stay in your current state? Peace of mind, money, customer attrition, humiliation. What's it costing you to be where you are? What do you want? What does a better world look like to you? What does a beautiful future look like to you? When do you want it? Few days, few weeks, few months, few years, decades? How are you going to know you have what you are looking for, what you're longing for? Where are you going to look to see whether or not you have what you're looking for? What are the metrics? Where will you look for objective truth? What if there are conflicts between powerful stakeholders? Shari, the chairman of the board, Wally, the CEO, Tex, Cassie, CFO, CMO. Who's going to make the final decision when there is conflict? And what's getting in your way? Think about these 8 questions. And maybe there are other questions in your context. Start here. As you explore these questions and you try to address some of them, you may come across some barriers. Here are 7. You might get paralyzed. Where do we start? It's so overwhelming. A lot of our clients, when we peel back the curtain and we show them some of the unhelpful habits, the magnitude of the problem is so overwhelming, they don't start, they keep throwing spaghetti on the wall, trying to see what sticks. There is no method because it's overwhelming. Whenever they try something, powerful stakeholders are disengaged. And so those who have overcome the paralysis and are making a sincere effort, they get demoralized and they give up because powerful stakeholders are just disengaged. They don't care. They don't care what's going on with your agile transformation, double quotes. When they do get engaged, they're fighting with each other. They cannot align. Like I said, Shari wants one thing, Wally wants something else, Chief Customer Officer wants something else. And sometimes their goals appear to be contradictory, not complementary. And they're unable to reconcile the contradictions or the conflicts between their goals. And then people start giving up. They feel helpless. This is how it's always going to be. This is how it's always been. This is how it's always going to be. There's nothing we can do. And so you go back to the same old, same old. And maybe if you are using some kind of metrics, usually they are in Excel hell. They create some Excel charts. They embed it in a PowerPoint, send it in an email. Some people open it, some don't. By the time they open the PowerPoint, the data has shifted. And now people start sending emails and messages to different people saying, I want the latest status report. And then a lot of people, their day job becomes nothing other than creating and emailing status reports to powerful stakeholders. Very painful. When we say there's an automated way to create on-demand reports, on-demand evidence of how we are doing, sometimes the feedback is we don't have budget. We don't have budget for Tableau. We don't have budget for Power BI or any of the other tools. If we tell them, how about you just use Google Sheets? Create your own dashboard, spend some time. The answer is I'm too busy. There is no time. No budget, no time. So these are some barriers that might get in your way if you try to make a shift from self-defeating pseudo agility to authentic evidence-based agility. So what do? Defining the problem is not helpful if you can't solve the problem. Here are some steps. First, discover your purpose. Figure out what the heck it is that you want. Based on coactive coaching, we have created a canvas, which we call the Coaching Discovery Canvas. It's available free of cost on our website, smoothapps.com. Take a look, fill it out. Whether you're a coach or you're a coachee, figure out what the heck it is you want from your life and what do you want for your organization. Discover your purpose. Figure out where you are right now. Get some kind of an assessment. In our case, we start all engagements with an agility assessment. We try to create transparency into the contradictions or similarities between the views of the 6 blind men and the elephant. Having that transparency gives us an opportunity to identify where are we aligned, where are we misaligned, who gets to choose, and what are we going to do about it. Design your alliance. Design an alliance between your coach and your team members and your stakeholders. Define the rules of the game. It's like a working agreement. Again, based on the coactive coaching model from CTI, we have created a sample, maybe a starter, designed alliance canvas that can guide the interactions between individuals. As the Agile Manifesto says, it's about individuals and interactions. Let's create transparency about how we are going to behave, about what is the target, and how are we going to interact with each other when the road gets bumpy. This is the toughest part, quantifying your targets. People are so scared of defining what success looks like in mathematical terms. If you cannot define where you want to be, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. You have to quantify your targets, knowing that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, you will be wrong. And it takes so much humility to set a target, knowing that your first attempt is more likely to be wrong than right. But there is grace and forgiveness. If you can give yourself permission to be wrong and realize that being wrong is guaranteed in a complex adaptive system, you don't waste time trying to be right. You invest energies in being effective. Some examples: decrease time to market from 6 months to 1 month within 90 days. Decrease defects from 100 to 25 in 90 days. Increase customer delight, delighted customers from 45% to 75% in 90 days. Increase profit, revenue, sales, new customers. Revenue from $125 million to $135 million in 12 months. Now visualize how you are doing in terms of actuals and targets. Keep an eye on the scoreboard. This is a product we've used, Al Dente, which allows us within minutes to visualize targets versus actuals. Every single sprint review, you have to inspect. Transparency without inspection is useless. You've got to inspect how are you doing with respect to how you want it to do. And then adapt. The inspection will reveal threats and opportunities. In some areas, you're doing better. Some areas, you're doing worse. Some areas, you're doing just as you expected. Sometimes the truth may piss you off, but it'll set you free. And it will reveal opportunities for course correction. It will generate learning. Transparency and inspection are useless if you don't adapt. Adapt every single sprint. Figure out what's right for your market, for your customer, for your organization. Course correct, make it just right. Make your solutions just right for your customers, for your users, investors, your employees, your team members, for the communities at large. Make your solutions just right. Make your solutions al dente. So these are some suggestions that can help you switch from self-defeating pseudo agility to authentic evidence-based agility. We defined our perspective of self-defeating pseudo agility. We suggested 4 attributes that might help you make the shift, 8 questions you may consider, 7 barriers that may get in your way, and 8 suggestions that may help you break through these barriers. How to shift from self-defeating pseudo agility to evidence-based agility. If these ideas resonate with you, let's stay in touch. You can check out our blogs, follow our videos, follow our YouTube channel, check out our videos, join us at our meetup, Agile DevOps DFW. On our website, smoothapps.com, you got free presentations, webinars, and follow us on LinkedIn. So this is what we do. This is who we are. We help organizations travel on the path of authentic evidence-based agility. Hope you found this useful. Until our next interaction, thank you. Keep calm. Scrum on.